Hello, my name is Chloe, welcome to my channel. Today I'm bringing to you my November TBR. So I have a pretty small TBR to talk you through for November. I am not doing any readathons. The only way I'm getting extra books on my TBR is setting myself my own challenges through Larry the TBR Llama. I have a pretty broad spectrum of books here to talk to you about, so let's just dive in and get through them. So the first book I have to read in November is for the Trash for Mass read-along, which we've been doing for 11 months now. That is scary. November's book is of course A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J Maas. This is the third book in the ACOTAR series, and if I remember rightly, this was my favourite the first time round in this series, so I'm really excited to carry on with it. At the time of currently filming, I've almost finished ACOMAF. I'm having a great time, and diving straight into ACOWAR sounds like a very, very good idea. If you don't know what we're doing for the Trash for Mass read along, I will link my refresher video down in the description that tells you what we're doing, when we're reading things, and how you can get involved. The next thing you can get involved in is the Chloe's Crime Scene Corner read. We're in the penultimate 2 months of that book club now, and I'd really like as many of you to get involved as possible. So in November, we're reading The First Day of Spring by Nancy Tucker. I have heard this is incredibly weird. I do read the full blurb out in the Chloe's Crime Scene Corner video, so I won't repeat that content for people. It only takes a second to end a life. It's all it says on the front, so definitely sounds quite weird and wacky. I hope that it's fantastic. It gives me 5-star vibes just from everything about it, so I'm really, really hoping that this is a winner. Next up, we have the buddy read for my Patreon, which is where the top 2 tiers of my Patreon vote on a book that they would like to read the following month, and they have picked for November Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I wasn't like set on reading this book, but I found it in a library sale in Colestown for genuinely like 50 cents, I think it was. So I was like, great, I'll grab it, I'll give it a go. I'm quite daunted by it, which is why I'm very glad the Patreon is reading it with me. So just to read all it says on here, it's not a lot on here. It says, his wife taken, his people enslaved, driven by a longing for justice and the memory of lost love, Darrow will stop at nothing to bring down his enemies, even if he must become one of them to do so. For the first time, Red will rise. I really don't think this is typically my cup of tea, but I've seen so many people enjoy this book that I'm going to give it a go. And yeah, let's hope that the Patreon enjoys it with me. The second and final Patreon related item is the TBR jar, which is definitely a mug. And this is where the top 2 tiers of my Patreon can pick one book off my TBR that they would like me to read, and then they go in the jar. So what are we going to be reading in November? I won this one. There is a very broad selection of books in here, so it could genuinely be anything. Okay, it was upside down and blurry. Oh, okay, this could be good. Damn it, do I want this one? I think I do. I want this one. Okay, so Amy's pick was the reappearance of Rachel Price, which is fantastic because I'm going to Yalk in November. I've gotten rid of the Good Girls Guide to Murder series, but I have Killjoy and I have that signed. I don't have this signed, and I do have one of those first editions. So it would be really great to go and get this signed. And I haven't thought about reading it yet. So how great would it be to read it, love it, and get it signed? I mean, if I don't love it, then I don't need to go and meet another author at Yalk. So swings and roundabouts. This says 18-year-old Belle has lived her whole life in the shadow of her mom's mysterious disappearance. 16 years ago, Rachel Price vanished and young Belle was the only witness. Rachel is gone, presumed dead. The case is dragged up from the past when the Price family agrees to a true crime documentary. Belle can't wait for filming to end, for life to go back to normal. But then Rachel Price reappears and life will never be normal again. Lights, camera, lies. So dramatic. But yeah, I'm really hoping I love this, and then I can get Holly Jackson to sign it at Yalk. My dust jacket is a little bit beat up though. How sad. Okay, I said it's a short TBR, but we're still going. The next one is a book I've been meaning to read for a very long time, and my lovely friend Emily over at Emily Kathleen Reads said she'd buddy read it with me, and that is Notes on an Execution by Danya Kukafka, I think it is. I've heard very mixed things about this book. I'm sure me and Emily are gonna like hold together and read it to see how we feel. We did both buy this book on a trip to 66 Books because it sounded interesting. It was quite hyped at the time, but I haven't really thought about it since. So I won't read this entire blurb because it's massive, but it says Ansel Parker is scheduled to die in 12 hours. He knows what he's done and now awaits the same fate he forced on those girls years ago. Ansel doesn't want to die. He wants to be celebrated, understood. But this is not his story. As the clock ticks down, 3 women uncover the history of a tragedy and the long shadow it casts. Lavender, Ansel's mother, is a 17-year-old girl pushed to desperation. Hazel, twin sister to his wife, is forced to watch helplessly as the relationship threatens to devour them all. And Safi, the detective hot on his trail, is devoted to bring bad men to justice but struggling to see her own life clearly. This is the story of the women left behind. So it does sound very fascinating, but me and Emily are going to band together and get through this book together to see how we really feel, because it's a little bit daunting and I don't know why. Okay, last but not least, this is never a requirement of my TBRs, but where I find time because I'm not doing readathons, I set a week aside to a Larry the TBR llama prompt. This llama is full of reading prompts that you guys have given me in different videos. People have just direct messaged me and added them. So it's just a whole bunch of reading challenges. Some of them I have added myself too. So I will pick a prompt here. Depending on what it is, I will tell you all the books I'll read in that week or maybe one. But okay, this is the prompt we've got. Oh, is that retellings? Yeah, retellings from Of Butterflies and Books. So I need to go away and work out what retellings I actually own. Okay, I've gone away and I found 3 books that fit the retellings prompt. I'm just going to tell you all of them for the sake of it. Normally I keep them a bit more secretive, but because of the books I've picked, I'm pretty sure I will finish them in the week and I'll be able to do another pick, which will be more of a surprise. So we'll see how it goes. But the first pick is the one I'm probably the most daunted by, and that is The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh. According to Goodreads, I haven't heard too much about this one, but according to Goodreads, this is a retelling of Arabian Nights, which is also something I don't know anything about. So I thought it'd be interesting to do a retelling where I'm completely clueless. So it says, every dawn brings horror to a different family in a land ruled by a killer. Khalid, the 18-year-old Caliph of Khorasan, takes a new bride each night only to have her executed at sunrise. So it's a terrible surprise when 16-year-old Shahzad volunteers to marry Khalid, but she does so with a clever plan to stay alive and exact revenge on the Caliph for the murder of her best friend and countless other girls. Her wit and will get her through to dawn that no others have seen, but with a catch: she may be falling in love with a murderer. So yeah, I am pretty clueless. Looks like November's the time. Then a book that I know a lot about the original, but no idea where this is going to take it, is Alice by Christina Henry. This is one of the most long-standing books on my TBR, and yeah, it's a dark retelling of Alice in Wonderland. In a warren of crumbling buildings and desperate people called the Old City, there stands a hospital with cinder-block walls which echo with screams of the poor souls inside. In the hospital there's a woman. Her hair, once blonde, hangs in tangles down her back. She doesn't remember why she's in such a terrible place, just a tea party long ago, and long ears and blood. Then one night, a fire at the hospital gives the woman a chance to escape, tumbling out of the hole that imprisoned her, leaving her free to uncover the truth about what happened all those years ago. So, very dark, Alice in Wonderland. How close this actually will stick to Alice in Wonderland, I have no idea. It's just probably inspired by more than a retelling of. But Christina Henry I have enjoyed. I am excited to see what happens here. And then the shortest retelling, I didn't know it was this short when I picked it off the list, but I am excited to read it after my October reads, and that is What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. I read the Twisted ones in October and really enjoyed the writing style, so hopefully I enjoy this too, and it's very, very short. So this is inspired by The Fall of the House of Usher. Is that what it's called? The Fall of the House of Usher, which again, I know nothing about. And I do want to watch that Netflix show. Is it called like The House of Usher or something? So maybe I just have like a House of Usher week. Maybe I watch that in the week, so I have a watched retelling as well. Oh, good idea, Chloe. Oh, it literally says on the back, a gripping and atmospheric retelling of Edgar Allan Poe's classic The Fall of the House of Usher. Okay, I didn't even need to research this one. When Alex Easton, a retired soldier, receives word that their childhood friend Madeline Usher is dying, they race to the ancestral home of the Ushers in the remote countryside of Ruritania. What they find there is a nightmare of fungal growths and possessed wildlife surrounding a dark, pulsing lake. Madeline sleepwalks and speaks in strange voices at night, and her brother Roderick is consumed with a mysterious malady of the nerves. Aided by a redoubtable British mycologist and a baffled American doctor, Alex must unravel the secret of the House of Usher before it consumes them all. Again, I know nothing about The Fall of the House of Usher, so I don't know how close that is to the story, but I am definitely excited to read it. So I need to learn to start stacking these the right way up because we now have a very upside down TBR for the month. Give me 1 second. Okay, was that some seamless editing? I highly doubt it. But here is my TBR for November, which I thought was manageable, and it has grown quite considerably since I started talking, but I still think this is a very doable TBR for me. I can do this, I can do this. I'm gonna have to rest them on my leg because they're very heavy, but please do let me know down in the comments if you've read any of these books, if you have any opinions on them. I'd love to chat to you about them. But for now, that's all I have time for today, so thank you very, very much for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!